But welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for our final virtual user group of 2025. It's been an exciting year for IBI, celebrating our 50th anniversary. We've had a lot of great accomplishments this year, and we've been thrilled that you guys have been along on the ride with us. So we very much appreciate your dedication with IBI and your loyalty. Today we've got some notable folks here on the line. As you can see, we have Dan Ortolani, Porter Thorndike, and Ken Lim, who will be presenting for you today. Angie had a family emergency. She was supposed to join us today, but unfortunately she cannot. Again, we've got a lot of great content lined up for you. Just a few housekeeping. As a reminder that this webinar is being recorded, so you will receive a copy of the recording post-event. As well as a copy of any slides and material that the presenters are able to share with you. I will also share that content with you as well. If you have any questions for anyone during the time today, please submit those through the Q&A feature, and Porter and Ken and Dan will be happy to get those answered for you guys. So again, we got a lot of great content. Let's dive right in. I'm going to hand it over to Dan, and let's get started.
Thank you very much, Shay, and thank you for your leadership in organizing and developing the user group program, the Focus Fridays program, all of the summit, all of our customer outreach this year. And we're so happy that so many customers could join us throughout the year and today. So good morning, everybody. And I'd like to share my deck with you. So, this is the time of year when, we all sort of take stock in what we accomplished as an organization, maybe as individuals. I think for our summary this year, we're looking at, what did we provide, right, to you, our customers, and reinforcing our commitment there throughout the year. So I wanted to kind of summarize, some of the metrics, the stats around product, around support, other initiatives that we had going this year, and really set the stage going forward for 2026. So first of all, I want to thank all of you for your investment and your support of the IBI products. We know from the attendee list today that many of you have been working with us and advocating for IBI products for so many years, and we really appreciate your support within your organizations and your continued support of the product. This was a growth year for IBI in terms of the business and in terms of the customers increasing usage of the IBI products. So we want to thank you for all of that. And again, we look forward to the road ahead. So for this 2025, we really pivoted our release management process. For those of you who were with us when we moved from release 7 to release 8, you know that was a big leap to take, right? And we spent a couple of years building release 8, but getting customers to migrate over to that release was a difficult process, big architecture changes, hundreds of features. And we pivoted away from that model to more of a reliable long-term support release process, where we came out with a release every quarter in 2025. And the way that we provided these releases is in a way that would be easily consumable by you, our customers. And now that over 75% of our customer base is using a modern release, meaning 9.2 or 9.3, as you choose to adopt the long-term support version that suits your needs. The installation process, it's really just kind of a hotfix type of install on top of your existing environment. We don't touch your configuration. We make things easy to adopt, right? And so that was our philosophy. And And so we follow that throughout 2025, and that is our plan for 2026 as well. And so when we look at the focus of this program, it's really about you. It's customer-driven innovation. Over 300 customer requests were implemented in our 4 long-term support releases that came out this past year. About 25 to 30% of those requests were new features. Okay, so you'll be able to adopt those new features within the context of this long-term support cadence. We also adopted the same approach for iWay Service Manager. We realized that that product is maybe not as in widespread use as WebFOCUS, but we still have a significant base of customers using that, and we continue to evolve iWay Service Manager. And then we also were focused on this idea of providing more and more value into our platform versions. So at the beginning of this year, we released 3 platform versions, 3 platform packages. One is the IBI WebFOCUS Analytics platform, our IBI mainframe platform, and then our data intelligence platform. And then for customers who are in the cloud, and also for some of our federal and state customers who needed specific units of measure, we had our select versions. So big initiatives throughout the year, and really, again, sets the foundational stage for 2026 as well. Customer support. This is an area we continue to invest in. Our customer support metrics, we had over 5,000 customer cases. A couple hundred of those involved escalations that were managed by obviously our SME experts in WebFOCUS and Data Migrator and iWay. We continue to track our CSAT and SLAs. It's very important to us to maintain our historical performance as an organization for these metrics. And in 2025, we met those metrics in conjunction with our historical averages. And we encourage all of you to keep providing that feedback through the CSAT surveys, which we distribute for every single case that we resolve. Another thing I just want to mention here is that this team consists now of 100% IBI full-time employees. We do have follow the sun global support. So we have a big team in North America, as well as 2 locations in India, Chennai and Pune. All these team members now are full-time employees working under one management structure under Tony Lee and Denise Hospitalis on the gold support side of the house. So we continue to, again, look at the year ahead, and we're going to be enhancing our services, especially around gold support in the coming year. As it relates to gold support, just the update here, we did expand the number of customers and our services for gold support this past year. We have over 100 customers now who are in our gold support program, and we really focused on upgrading customers and supporting customers' upgrade and modernization plans. And so we're going to leverage that initial focus. And as we move into 2026, and as customers renew gold contracts with us in 2026, we're going to be offering optionally professional services integrated with the gold program for tech refresh services. So if you have an upgrade that you're planning and you're a gold support customer, you're up for renewal this coming year, we're going to provide the option to include, significant professional services hours so that you can have that augmentation of your own staffs to help you with upgrades, to help you with remediation, to help you with modernization. Big focus for us coming up in 2026. And then customer engagement, I mentioned, Shay leading the charge here and really advocating for you, the customers, and making sure that our outreach continues to be high value and consistent for you. and dependable, right? Focus Fridays continues to be, continue to be throughout 2025 a marquee event. Many of you still working with the language, still working with different aspects of WebFOCUS, working with Renee and Walter on these sessions and other guest speakers, and we're going to continue that going forward. Virtual user group program, very successful. We're trying to hit the topics that are most relevant to you, so and getting your feedback on that. And then something new that we added, the office hours with subject matter experts. So all told, over 1,500 total customer attendees across all events. Many of you are new to these events. We had a significant number of sort of new attendees coming into the program this year. And now that you're in the program, we'll be providing updates for you on what's coming up next. So tell your friends, tell your colleagues about the value of these sessions. We want to keep building up the list of contacts at your customer sites and offering these additional sessions to you going forward. Of course, one of the major highlights of 2025 was our IBI Golden Summit, our celebration with our customers in New York with our 50th anniversary summit. Very well attended. We had customers from all over the world come in for this event. KK Shistu, our partner in Japan, sent a number of team members. We had customers coming in from Texas, from the West Coast, really from down south, Old Dominion, from North Carolina. Customers really coming from all over the world, really to collaborate with us and with each other. And there's nothing like that in-person connection that you get, both which we really appreciate with you, but also among the customers themselves. And of course, we also had our customer advisory board meeting as well, where we previewed some of the new initiatives that we have in our development pipeline. And we actually, based on the feedback from the customer advisory board, we did pivot certain areas and make some modifications in our product program. So, that team is very important in terms of providing feedback and where we go with the product. So very successful event. We're looking to build on this for next year, like I said, and we'll be planning our 2026 summit as we get into the first quarter of next year, and we'll be providing more input on the location and duration, and also getting your feedback. We sent a survey out, and we got a lot of good responses regarding the number of days that would be ideal and location as well for 2026. But this was really an amazing event, and we really felt the energy from you, our customers, and really use that to as a catalyst, right, to drive us forward with the product program. Okay, and in terms of product marketing, and product strategy, we launched a number of programs in 2025, but there's two that I want to highlight. One is the upgrade program, where Hannah Knox, who's not with us today, but will be rejoining the team. She's on leave, but she'll be back in January. She was really strategic in launching this upgrade program to assist our customers to adopt the modern versions of WebFOCUS, meaning 9.3 or 9.2. And we launched this program in conjunction with Amtex, who's a partner, implementation partner of ours. And we've been tracking the progress of this program all year in 2025. And we're to the point where we have, like I said earlier, 75% of our customer base is utilizing a modern release, meaning that you've either completely migrated over and upgraded, or you're using the product in a lower environment and planning to upgrade. And so what we saw in this program is very encouraging. These are really unprecedented numbers in our customer base, in terms of new version adoption, modern version adoption. But what we see is that most of you are doing what we call lift and shift, really kind of taking the applications that are in production today, upgrading the version to a 9.3, for example, and then effectively just testing that same application and making sure that it works and that you're in compliance with security and everything, and then moving forward. So that's good, get you on the platform. But what we really want you to do is to exploit the new features and modernize your environments so that your end users who are the ones that are, actually interacting with the product, actually see a more modern version of the use cases that you've implemented. So, that's going to be a focus, as I mentioned, with goal support coming up for next year. And we want to encourage you there are a number of partners that we work with that can help you on this journey as well. And so look for more on this modernization focus. Hannah will be spearheading that program starting in January. And then our AI bootcamp. So, there's obviously a lot of buzz around AI in the marketplace. Every day, right? We're bombarded with something new with the key vendors in this area. Um, from our perspective, though, we really bring AI back to the customer. What features do we need to be adding to the product that will make things easier for our customers to implement and increase automation, et cetera. So we have our first, our initial set of features that leverage AI. We have our data science and machine learning, as well as our natural language query. And we really felt like, although these features were starting to become available in our long-term support releases, we really weren't seeing in the first half of the year the activity in our customer base to really take advantage of these features. So we created this program called the AI Bootcamp, which we publicized through Shay's programs. And the idea was to allow our customers to sign up for this boot camp and then for us to provide sort of close support to help you to install the product features and to help you with the use cases to the point where maybe you start out with a POC, but then, take you along to the point where you actually deploy in production. And so I think we have Porter can keep me honest on this in his section of the presentation. I think we have close to 30 customers that are enrolled in this program now and active with our various DSML and AI capabilities. And this is going to continue to be an area of product emphasis in the coming year. And one of the areas that we're looking at is more generative AI. We're also looking at how we can automate the process of building metadata, building system, dashboards and reports and distribution mechanisms automatically with utilizing AI technology. Again, bringing it back to how can we leverage these emerging technologies to help our customers. We are a company that throughout our 50-year history has analyzed market trends, emerging technologies, and we've never gone overboard and completely changed direction of the company. We've always built on our IBI technologies as our way of embracing, the modernization of the platform and the product. And this will be no different with AI. So more to come on this. And, these programs were launched this year very successfully. And we thank you for your participation. Okay, before we move to Porter's section, I just wanted to provide an update on our platform offerings. I mentioned earlier we launched 3 platform offerings in 2025. Now what we're doing is compressing that down to an even smaller number of platform offerings. We're compressing this down to 2. One will be our mainframe platform, which will continue to just keep that the way it is. And that includes obviously our mainframe focus product, which continues to be mission critical for many of you out there. WebFOCUS on the mainframe, data migrator, other features, adapters. So that remains the same. What we're doing with the WebFOCUS, what we've done with the WebFOCUS analytics platform is to add our data intelligence suite of products into the into the analytics platform, and now we're calling that the WebFOCUS Data and Analytics Platform, or as we like to refer to it, the DNA platform now. And so what that means is, as a WebFOCUS customer, you now have access to our data quality, our new iWay Service Manager, iWay Trading Partner. Porter will talk a little bit more about the what's inside of the new data intelligence version that was just released. Okay, so really, and this is unlimited usage. So what this means is, in terms of the platform, as you know, if data intelligence is an area, if these new additional products included in the platform can help you as an existing WebFOCUS customer, you'll be able to try out these new offerings within the platform. And then, as always, when it comes time for your renewal is always based on the value and the deployment of the platform. We don't put any predefined limits like number of users or anything like that on the platform, unless, again, if you're a federal customer or state and local sometimes, or cloud, that may be required. But in general, for the commercial customer base, no limitations here. So as you review what Porter is going to provide for you in terms of the features, if it looks like it could help you, data quality, for example, then feel free to start to test out those products with these new products within the platform. And then again, when your renewal comes up, we'll work with you with our ATS team to assess your deployment and then the value, and then that kind of determines where we go from a contractual standpoint going forward. Hope that's clear. So on that note, thank you for your attention in this initial section, and it's a very nice transition, Porter, over to you to talk about the new IDI 2.0 version and other topics that you have stored up for the folks.
Sounds great. Thanks, Dan. And I think, when Dan shares that slide of kind of like including these data intelligence offerings into what was previously the WebFOCUS analytics SKU, I mean, that's how it's packaged. But one of the reasons we're doing that is it's mirroring the product strategy and how we've been unifying the data side of the product with the analytics side. And there's obviously a ton of research in you see where the market is going, where the value of having some of these data capabilities for like data engineering or augmented data quality, some exciting new use cases out there in the market. One's called AI-ready data products is another one. So a lot of really cool, interesting use cases that we think and we know WebFOCUS customers can benefit from having these now included data products with the platform. So I'd say the marketing side of it, the packaging, the licensing side of it, it's really being driven by what's happening within the product management and engineering organizations, which is exciting. And Dan, quick fact check for you on the data engineering bootcamp. It looked like you might have had a stand-up desk there. I can't tell. If you do have a stand-up desk, I'm going to ask that you sit down, sir, because we are not at 30. We are at 45 customers enrolled in the AI bootcamp.
Wow, that is
Yeah.
very exciting. I am sitting down now, Porter.
Okay,
so
good.
Thank you.
That's good. So let's talk about a couple things. Let's dive in a little deeper to data intelligence and then look at what we've done in the last year on the DSML side of things. So with data intelligence, I think it's pretty exciting what's happening, both its inclusion in the now new IBI WebFOCUS Data and Analytics SKU, but also standalone what's been happening with that product. I think we introduced Data Intelligence 2.0 just last month in November. I think easily the most exciting new feature that we introduced is AI-powered fuzzy matching. And for those of you that might be familiar with this, it's based on the Python dedupe library, which is just an incredible kind of like library and capability. So what this, means for you is it's going to simplify the process for entity matching and record linkage. You can see there's a lot of other things we did in here around authorization, management of lookup tables and JDBC connections. Another really kind of like cool and exciting thing we added is you can actually provide a stream of input data now for data quality profiling and cleansing. And then, if we have OmniGen customers out there, we introduced something new, which is called data integration services. And this is going to reimagine the functionality that was previously in OmniGen. And, meeting and working with the PMs and the engineers on the data intelligence side of things recently has been very exciting also in terms of what we're working towards in the future, both just for kind of like the data intelligence component of the product, but also how that's going to integrate pretty seamlessly with the other WebFOCUS products. So, some of those areas for those of you that are using Data Migrator, has historically been like a desktop-based tool. And so there's been so much work that's already been done um, to move that functionality to the web and to the web in a way that kind of like will be exposed within common WebFOCUS interfaces like the WebFOCUS Hub that will be able to organize and leverage and make that data discoverable, searchable, if you've read about like a data catalog. Um, and then just all of the kind of like artificial intelligence and data science that's going into the data quality to help you with that, including integrating data quality right into that data migrator experience. So, exciting release in 2.0 and only great things to come in the future as well. And, really we have been recognized by analyst firms. This is for our capabilities in data engineering. This is from Dresner Advisory Services. This is a rating that came out last year. We were tied for second. And if you think about what are data engineering use cases, it's really a lot of different things. I think a lot of people would think the most common one is probably, connecting to various data sources, integrating that data. It could be transforming that data, grouping it, transforming it, applying calculations, making it fit for whatever purpose it is. And let's say, a lot of those purposes to build a data warehouse would be to support business intelligence and analytics applications in use cases. So obviously data engineering and data migrator is a key capability for WebFOCUS customers to support your WebFOCUS deployments as well. And there's a lot of other, use cases that this drives, some really cool new modern ones. Things like modernizing your cloud data architecture. So a common use case would be replatforming or duplicating, say, a SQL Server or Oracle on-prem data warehouse to move it into Snowflake or Databricks. We actually had a session on that last year, which is super cool, and a lot more. So I think, we encourage all WebFOCUS customers to if you're not trying these products already, think about are there some new use cases or some opportunities to use these, given that they're now included within the platform, and seeing how important they are for modern data use cases and to support your WebFOCUS deployment. What I'm here to talk about in more detail today, though, is one of the most, if not the most exciting part of the product, which is the data science and machine learning features that we've introduced. We want to review everything that we did in the last year. As Dan mentioned, we're on about a one release every 3 months cadence. That means last year we delivered 4 releases. Let's look at what we introduced release by release. And if you want to get your hands on any of these with professional assistance from IBI Resources, I'm involved. Aiden Elsmere is involved. Engineering is involved if needed. We're happy to work with you to help you prototype, or do some proof of concepts on some of these features. That's the AI Bootcamp. So 933 was introduced in February 2025. Preceding that, last year in October, we had our advisory council, and we got strong feedback from the advisory council that they wanted us to prioritize natural language query development and functionality, as well as some of the additional data science and machine learning capabilities. And that's why you're going to see this is a really strong, kind of aggressive push that we had in the last year to strengthen that area of the product. And in 933, the first thing that we did is we started offering support for all DSML services in Windows. Okay, so previously it could only be deployed in Linux. This is clearly a problem for those customers of ours that were Windows shops. Okay, so now there's really no limitation in terms of where it can be deployed. And remember, these can be deployed in containers. So really kind of like simple to manage and deploy the DSML services to support all these WebFOCUS use cases. And then the other thing is when customers start using the product, we've always found it's very helpful if we have examples and tutorials, documentation, videos, actual assets like data sets or models, so that customers can kind of try it out, learn how to use the product, and then apply it to their use case. And then fast forward to some of the functionality that was introduced. One of them was asynchronous processing. So when we think about you've got a data source where you want to trigger instant insights. And for those of you that aren't familiar, instant insights uses a number of different algorithms. There's things like dominance, correlation, time series anomaly, and clustering to find relevant patterns, trends, anomalies in your data, and then present it back with a supporting visualization, automatically generated narrative. Really powerful capability. Think of it as a machine-generated data story. So as people want to trigger this service and have it start looking through their data to find these patterns, well, a lot of times you might have a complex structure like this one has multiple fact tables. Or you might have generated some insights, you might be working on something else, and then you might want to run insights on a second data source or something like that. So asynchronous processing just is very efficient in terms of it can process multiple algorithms on multiple data sets at the same time as you continue your work. The other thing that we did is we're thinking about the front end and the user base and how people would use these types of things. So one thing that we know is important when you're, putting machine learning algorithms at your data to try and find relevant patterns is it's helpful if you can kind of tailor and customize which aspects of the data it's looking at. So if you look up here, this is pretty small, but you'll notice it's a checkbox of different measures. And so this allows a user to uncheck maybe measures they're not interested in. Okay, so it's going to be a much more focused kind of exercise and process. And then once these insights are delivered, different ways to view them. You can kind of have a list view. You can have a tile view that's pretty popular because it's a little more visual and representative of maybe like a dashboard type experience. And remember, these insights, they can be run standalone from the WebFOCUS Hub. There is a widget that can be added to a page that could be put into your, let's say, WebFOCUS portal where they can be run. And then these can also be triggered from within the WebFOCUS Designer and added to your canvas and further refined as well. So really nice, kind of exciting product that we added a lot of functionality to in 933. And then, super important, obviously, as a user is using natural language query. The nature of the query, if you've, studied visual best practices at all, the nature of the question or the answer really drives what is the most appropriate visual format for that, right? Like if you're asking location-based questions, probably a map is most appropriate. If you're asking, kind of like trending or time series questions, it should be a line. If you're looking for rankings or comparisons, bars are the best. So in 933 last February, we introduced, visual display of the information. And there are some other things in here like collaboration. Okay, you can like pin and save and share these as well. That takes us to 934 in May. And this is a big one. This is one that you don't see on the front end, other than the experience on the front end is so much more delightful and accurate, is what I would say. So in May, we delivered a new backend, which is a small language model. We evaluated about 12 different small language and large language models. And what we settled on was the Microsoft Phi 3 small language model. Well, why did we settle on that model? The obvious reasons are things like, accuracy. It increased the accuracy by 70% of the questions that were asked. And when this was introduced and I started testing it, really what I was impressed the most by was that I didn't have to structure my question in a specific way, like organizing it by, measure by dimension for, this filter. It didn't have to be like that. I could ask the question the way that I would ask a colleague a question, like what is the highest selling product within this category? For this time, you ask the question the way you would speak English, and you can do that because the small language model is really, really good at understanding English. Okay, so it can parse that question, user intent, user meaning. We've added prompt engineering to help it understand the structure and the schema of WebFOCUS metadata and data and help it the other thing I was very impressed with was how it was able to decipher filter values. Okay, like if I asked for a list of customers that were 70 years old, I didn't say look at the age field, right? But just its understanding and all of the data that it's been modeled on and trained on across different types of data, across the English language, it doesn't scan every column. It's like 70 years old, we think that's an age column. Are we finding a match here? If the match isn't in the title, let's look at a classification or profile of that data. And so it's really incredibly good at navigating complex data sets to find and deliver the answer back to you. And it's all based on having that small language model. It also is really good at date and time handling. That was a big factor for us because of how prominent date and time comes into, like reports and charts and dashboards and user queries where you need to look at a range or you need to look at last month or compare this year to last year as well. It was good at handling spaces. Input processing, like it could handle kind of like imperfect data with null values, or irrelevant keywords, things like that. It was very scalable. The performance was great. And then the contextual understanding and continuous learning, this is where I kind of discussed already, just like its robust understanding of the English language as well. Why did we go with a small language model and package it, meaning that model lives within your environment, whether you're on-prem or even within the cloud, versus accessing maybe a hosted as a service large language model? Well, we did a lot of research with our customers, and what they told us is actually that the value of having a small language model packaged and inside their environment, thus eliminating the need to send data outside the organization to and from a service, allowed them to bypass all of these legal, security, governance, and compliance restrictions and processes that they had at their organization, which means if you want to try out natural language query, you can just start using it immediately. There's really no security or compliance risk with data leaving your environment or organization. So we're going to continue to listen to our customers and think about what's best. And we're, every day prototyping new capabilities. We've got a really cool proof of concept going on with OpenAI at the moment. And so we'll always be thinking about, what's best for our customers. And that may result in us offering multiple things. You may have read about bring your own model type of things as well. So that work continues to be ongoing. But that was a big one. 935 in August. What do we do here? This was a lot, okay? And so I'm just going to touch on, I think, the biggest ones. So to me, a big one is suggested questions, right? If you use ChatGPT, if you use Gemini, or even just Google search, one of my favorite features of it is how it can predict what I want to ask. Okay, and so suggested questions is something that was introduced to natural language query. Now, when you suggest or when you launch the product, there are actually some questions based on our understanding of the data, maybe how you've used it, what are other popular questions. So those are just right there for you as a quick start as well. Some other things, here around just kind of like customizing of the environment to make sure if it's not returning quickly and kind of customize that timeout setting as well, error messaging. So it's just kind of like a prettier, experience, more intuitive experience as you use it with suggestions on how to improve your query if you didn't get the response you wanted. A big thing that we added around machine learning functions was a new clustering algorithm. Okay. Um, there's some other things that we added here. Feature importance identification was a big one as well. As you think about the machine learning experience, and for those of you that aren't super familiar, this is a no-code model training and deployment capability. It's graphical. It exists right within the WebFOCUS data flow type of capability. So when you're working with data, you can start running different models, binary classifiers, regression algorithms, the new clustering one that we introduced right here, time series anomalies. And it will run 5 different types of models against that. Neural networks, random forest are a couple examples. The most accurate model would then get saved and can then be deployed to score your current data. But as you're within that process of training the data and then looking at the results, there's a lot of things that we built in here. And so some of these are represented here. A distribution analysis to help you understand how that data is distributed via a histogram, and then a projections plot as well. And there are some other things we did here, to make the data preparation experience better. Deactivation of geographic role assignments was one as well. We kind of improved the explainability functionality within it as well. And then around instant insights, just kind of like some theming work that we did so that all the insights, kind of look and feel exactly like native WebFOCUS functionality. And then as we fast forward to the current production released just last month, 9.3.6, this was a big one. When you use ChatGPT or Google, have you noticed that it kind of maintains the context of the question that you asked? So if you ask one and then you ask for a refinement, it's not kind of starting from scratch. It kind of has that knowledge, in the history of what you've asked. And so that makes refinement questions a lot faster and more accurate as well. So it's kind of like, very similar to that Grok or ChatGPT or Gemini experience where it's kind of a flow of information, a discussion as well. And so as we look forward to the future, a quick glimpse, what are we going to be looking at for the future? Well, all these DSML capabilities, natural language query, machine learning functions, instant insights, there's also metadata classification. We're working on all of these products to improve the individual functionality, the back end and the performance, but then thinking about big picture, how do all of these things work together? What is the best way to create an interface where it, can perform automation, where it's exposed within existing WebFOCUS products like the WebFOCUS Hub or Designer. And so WebFOCUS IQ is kind of the name that's being given to all of the DSML products. And we're looking at kind of a user interface for how this would be exposed, how we can expose things like tutorials and training information, and how it works within the workflow of the broader WebFOCUS ecosystem. And I want to show you a quick little prototype of some other things that we're thinking about here. So this is something that was put together based on, research and candidates for functionality for what we might look to build in 2026 and beyond. So this is a reimagined WebFOCUS Hub homepage, and I'm not here to go deep on the WebFOCUS Hub, but we know that the DSML capabilities will be exposed via the Hub and managed by the Hub. And so knowing that a lot of the new exciting functionality you're introducing around Gen AI, prompt-based interfaces, or you could also be called natural language query, machine-generated data stories are probably going to be pretty popular with our customers. So a landing page would be customizable. And as we look at what that might look like for some of the DSML capabilities, this is where, we might just have that prompt front and center when you log into the WebFocus Hub, or this page is added as a widget to a page of your current application, maybe a WebFocus portal or embedded somewhere. And so we could have widgets that the user turns on or off, and this could highlight instant insights, machine-generated data stories. It might feature one. Knowing that users from here that may not be WebFocus Designer users, but are now using natural language query or creating content, a method for them to save and manage content that they've created from prompt-based interfaces. And then the model's great understanding of data, it might be really good at suggesting content you might be interested in. So one thing that we want to do is we want to lower the bar and make it a lot easier and faster for content to be created either through prompt-based interfaces or automatically. And that's where they might show up right here. And then, of course, we could just use the prompt to ask questions, create a sales dashboard for me that focuses on these metrics and dimensions. And instead of just creating a single report or a single chart, which we do right now, it could create an ensemble. So if you give it some measures and dimensions of interest, it might produce a full-blown dashboard. And then it would always be updating in terms of, it's got more context on what you're interested in. So the what to read next or suggested for you would continue to update as well. And of course, we could perform refinement on this. If we said, focus more on this metric, less on this metric, it would update just those metrics. We could refine a single item to say, just focus on like this calculation, and you could do refinement. We would retain that history so you could go back at any time, and then you could choose to save it. And then once you save it, we would get to the part of the hub where all of your content is saved, and you could apply filters or share it or distribute it to Microsoft Teams or Slack or export it into formats that WebFocus supports. And here's an example of maybe sharing this to your team in Slack as well. Okay, so that covers, let me just show you what that looks like right within Slack, which this is supported today as well, which is exciting. So we did a lot last year. We're going to do more this year. And I think it's super exciting. Encourage everyone to sign up for that WebFocus Bootcamp, AI Bootcamp. If you're interested in learning more, I'll hand it over to Ken now.
Thank you, Porter. Those are some great features for DSML for over the years. So, and with that, I also want to share some highlights of WebFocus Designer. So just a couple of features that we've highlighted over 2025 as well. So let's get started here. So the agenda today, I just want to go over a couple of key features for each release that we've had. Same thing as what Porter has mentioned. We went through 9.3.3, 9.3.4, 9.3.5, and the latest 9.3.6. So with these key features, these are just a couple of key features that I thought that stood out the most in these releases. So let's starting out with, let's say 9.3.3. 9.3.3, we incorporated data label customization. Now you can go into your charts, your visualizations, and go into them and place them however you like. You could change your font, the color, the shape of them. These are all available now. And as we move forward to 9.3.4, we've in a sense enhanced the filters, how we show things. So here in 9.3.4, we added the ability to reorder prompted filters, meaning the filters that we added on designer pages, you can just click and drag them over. They'll be applied, and then you can also see that in the syntax as well. And then as well as enhancing more sorting options for filters. So we've added, sort ascending, sorted descending. We also added a, dedicated rank column so that you have something like this, where if on a measure you put rank by highest, it'll show this rank column here. It'll give you the highest amount of numbers for that. And moving forward, so 9.3.5, also a really big release that I wanted to highlight a few features that I thought that was amazing for this, and also just to streamline the process of how you guys are working and creating content in Designer. So in 9.3.5, we further enhanced the filters. So we've added things like renaming parameters. So that, I thought that was a great feature that we've had now, because before, if we wanted to rename a parameter, we'll have to go into the text editor and then keep track of where it is in the effects. Maybe you have effects that are really long, hundreds of lines, and you're just not sure. So in the GUI now, if you just right click a filter option, we give an option to rename your parameter name. You can, so right here, you can see like as DF, WF, that's the default that we have for WF retail. And then we, at the same time, maybe we also gave the option to, rename a title. It doesn't have to say product category. Maybe you don't want to say product, and maybe you just want to say category. You can actually just edit that all in the GUI now. And alongside with running these effects that have a bunch of filters on them, we've enhanced the way the auto prompt works for you guys. So back then, we just had a drop down, but maybe you had hundreds and maybe thousands of values, but you're not sure. Maybe you don't want to scroll through all of that. So we added some more search options here, which allows you to search through a wildcard. So like you see in the tooltip here, we could use a question mark for single characters, or just an asterisk for however way you want to search here. And that's something that was greatly useful. So for instance, in WF Retail, we have hundreds of values, maybe thousands. And if you wanted something really particular, you could use these wildcard options here, and then that will narrow it down for you guys and make it easier for you to select. And then moving forward to the latest release in 9.3.6, we also packed a good amount of features in here as well. So a couple of key features that I want to go over. It's one, we enhance report customizations. We've added the ability to add subheader, subfooter, as well as being able to kind of like customize the text, and you have full control of how you want to present it. So with the subheader and subfooter, we give you the option to change the font. You can change the color, the sizing, orientation, the alignment. All these are available in 9.3.6. And one of the new features we added was two date filters. So before, we only had options to, let's say, arrange or just after, before, but never an equal syntax for it. So in 9.3.6, we've added the ability so that a user can select a single date and apply that, whether you use it equal or not equal. And that'll be synonymous. Maybe they'll also update your where condition as well. So that makes it so that maybe you only wanted to look at a few dates or just one date. You can specify it rather than have a range. So that I feel like it might be extremely helpful for users to kind of go over and get down to the more detailed version of what you want to show in a specific date. So this in 9.3.6, this is one of my favorite features. So we've implemented a way to now you can multi-select fields. So instead of just dragging them one by one, here you have like my little snippet here where you can just use your multi-select like a control, select a whole bunch of fields, and drag them onto the canvas. And now it's all there. We don't have to select them one by one. You can go down the list and just select them and drag them over. So another feature that I love here is the ability to view all your defines in one screen. So here, where you see when I'm clicking there, where for WF Retail, if we just do a show calculations only, this will give us just a list of all your defines that you created, whether it's in the report or in your master file. So of course, the ones that you create in your master file, we can't just right click them and edit them, but the ones that we created in your report, you can right click and edit. And that also streamlines where it makes it easier for editing. So if you wanted to edit your complex logic, you can. You can go ahead and do it right there. You don't have to scroll down your list of fields to find which define it does what. We could just show all the defines here. And I feel like these two features just to make content creation even easier for you guys. So moving forward, we didn't forget about pages as well. So in assemble pages, in previous releases, you can only create it like one condition per task. So that made it a little bit more cumbersome. Maybe you had to create multiple tasks to add multiple conditions. So now in assemble pages, if you create an interaction, you can create multiple conditions under one task. And you can also change them as well. So here, it could be an and. So once it's fulfilled, it will run, in this instance, is a JavaScript function. It will run that. Or you could change it to an or. So whether it's, depending on what you selected, that's how it will run. So the next thing, which I'm most excited about, a sneak peek into 937. So this is a feature that I thought many customers did ask for, as well as I think this would just streamline things that and help with just creating assemble pages. So in assemble, do you guys remember how like we have the ability to give you the option to create a control? These are unbound controls, but we were very limited on what we could do with it. It was just like you drag it onto the screen and we can you could set the data source to it or add some static values, but we weren't able to do too much with it. So in 937 coming up, we've added new features to unbound controls. So these unbound controls consist of like the button set checkbox, double list box, drop down, and the radio control. So in each of these unbound controls, we've added options to now you can enable a show all option and display text, as well as setting a default value. So as these might not be too big, but I feel like this is really exciting because I know that with these controls now, you can do so much more. Like for instance, the showing all, you can also change the display text. So here in this button set that I have here, I just put it as testing all, just so that you can change it to whichever way you like. This is your main button. You can also set a default value so that, let's say, for instance, in this radio button, I use the cart file, our infamous cart file. So here we have the all that we have selected here. We can default the value, and here in this case, I defaulted Japan. And with this would help with greater design flexibility. It will allow you for like a more sophisticated like visualization. So that I do hope that this upcoming feature would elevate your workflow. And with that said, as we wrap up 2025, we are committed to making Designer your primary tool for WebFOCUS. So I do look forward to hearing how these new features will help you guys streamline your workflows, as well as we are committed to closing the gap between Designer and the capabilities that were available in Infosys and App Studio. So that's the one most important thing that we're working on now, to close out this gap so that we can make Designer your most powerful platform to use. So that is all from me today. So I'm going to hand this back to you, Dan.
Oh, you're on mute, Dan.
Thank you, Ken. Awesome stuff. I think, yeah, I mean, this designer continues to be the centerpiece of our operational focus for 2026. A lot of great stuff for 2025 and moving forward. Our goal is to really close this gap once and for all. And I think we're down to kind of the most critical items to kind of finish it up. So
Right.
thank you for that step through. So Shay, I guess we just go to the Q&A at this point.
Yeah, it looks like we do have a couple of questions in there. If you guys want to pop in there and take a look. Let's see. Let's see it more critical designer still has feature gaps.
Okay, so I think here an anonymous attendee commented that they would like to see even much more features delivered to Designer and to WebFOCUS platform itself in a much faster pace, good quality, closing the feature gaps compared to other BI applications. So, I think one of our guiding principles in terms of the number of features that we integrate into these releases is we again, back to my original statement that these long-term support releases are designed to allow customers to easily consume the versions. So we're very conscious about, introducing potentially disruptive code into these long-term support releases. So that's why we're taking this incremental approach. But again, I think we're pushing forward very strongly with Designer, and that will continue. And the WebFOCUS platform also, you saw what we're doing with Caster. There's a lot of work going on also in the reporting server area, where we continue to add new adapters in support of how customers require new modern data sources and data targets. So for example, Databricks, Snowflake, these are adapters that are getting a lot of attention now. And I'm not talking just, kind of ODBC, JDBC approach, but really driving to ensure that we're exploiting the native capabilities of these adapters, like bulk load and generating the low-level calls that are specific, and data types, for example, that are specific to these adapters. And it's a very complex area, but it's a very active area. We see that as very important for our core, kind of our core competency as a company: access to any data source, push to any target, and do it in a way that supports the native capability. So in addition to Designer, there's a ton of work going on throughout the product, and we just have to be careful about the cadence, right, and how we implement. Okay, Jim Zucker. How you doing, Jim? Good to see you on the call today. This looks great. Are there education courses available for Designer? Ken, do you want to comment on that?
I believe there are some courses already out there for Designer. Maybe not too specific, but if you want something specific, please do let us know, and we'll try to create something for you.
Yeah, we launched a new education platform it uses different technology in the background than we had before. And Shay, I believe customers can sign up for that directly.
Yes, they can. If you are not part of the education platform and you'd like to be, please shoot me a note and I will get you into the platform. You can take a look at what courses are available. We do try to add new courses each quarter. So be on the lookout in Q1 for some new courses joining the platform. There is a brand new one right now on WebFOCUS security. I know it's a little bit different of a topic, but just letting you guys know that we are adding new courses as we go. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
and I
thank
can
you.
pick up the last one here from Jim in terms of hardware requirements for DSML and NLQ.
Please do.
Yeah, we've got this pretty well documented. And I just want to bring this document up right here. So anyone that's, using the DSML services or NLQ, we want to make sure we're setting you up for success. We've got a lot of documentation to help you through that. And one of those documents is right here. It's called the DSML services installation document. And if you go to page 6, that's where it starts. And then hardware requirements are at the end of page 6. And then going on to page 7. So they're right there. If you want to take a screen, there's a lot there. I won't read it out. If you want to take a screenshot or, jot down some notes, that's what it is. And it gets into a lot of things in terms of CPU versus GPU, Windows versus Linux, and just other considerations as well.
Yeah. Thank you, Porter. And, I would just add to that. I mean, kind of what we're seeing is that realistically, in terms of NLQ and kind of the processing needed for that type of product, and its interaction with the model that we provide with the product, it seems like GPU is going to be the recommended approach for maximum performance. And so that's something for you as the customer base to kind of collectively, consider. It's easy to provision GPU machines, instances in the cloud. But that's something you really have to plan for, because by definition, the NLQ capability is really built, effectively as an add-on to your dashboard. In many cases, many of you have asked for this as an add-on to your customer-facing apps. So you want that experience to be positive, from a performance perspective. And this is just, kind of where the market's going, kind of where we see. But we'll be updating our recommendations as we gain more experience with the product. That's kind of how we see it going. Okay.
I'm going to take a stab at some of these.
Sure, please.
Mark Zimmerman's question about ESRI and mapping. He wants to drill from a map to a report on the same page, and I'm going to interpret what I think he is asking for here. And Mark, you can update your question if I don't get it right. Right. So like we can create the map, we can add the map to a page. And then I think what you're envisioning is the map is a component of an ensemble of content that might include a map, a chart, and a report. Or let's just say a map and a report. And so I think what you want to be able to do is click on a state or click on a country or click on a location and have that either apply as a filter to the report, but pass some information to reflect, to update the report. And I'm wondering, and Ken, I'm not going to put you on the spot because this is very specific, but I'm curious if this could be accomplished through interactions. If it can't be accomplished through interactions, we know we could build drill downs on the map. And so I would think there would at worst be JavaScript that could help with this. But I think that there are some out of the box things that could be done here. Might be worth following up on that specific example because it feels like we should be able to do that. Marco is wondering about NLQ and other languages. Yes, that work is ongoing. We are looking to extend that as well. And Paul is asking about more JavaScript designer functions in the future. So I'm curious if you're looking for ones that we package and provide and are out of the box. You can, of course, write your own today. Interestingly enough, what did come up at the advisory council was, if you haven't heard, we're introducing an App Studio HTML page migration utility within WebFOCUS Designer so that if you have pages that are created in HTML Composer with filters, with parameters, with variables, with different, it was called tasks and animations is what was reimagined as interactions and content, you can bring it into Designer. And one thing that came up at the advisory council was a blocker for some customers to migrate content from App Studio to Designer may be complex JavaScript. So we're actually thinking about that as well. So the JavaScript question is top of mind and how we can best interpret it and offer it for WebFOCUS customers as well. I'll take a breath and see if there are other people that have been reading questions and have answers.
Yeah. Well, Marco Serrati, I just want to say Marco's question about different languages like for NLQ. If I had it my way, Italian would be right next on the list, but I don't know if Porter is going to overrule me on that. We'll see. But in all seriousness, we are working on it. I would like to comment on Rudolph's question about what is the roadmap for the next major release 10. And so what we did was, as part of our release strategy, moving to the long-term support release in 9.3x, is we really, like, in an incremental way, as I said earlier, kind of implementing the features. So we're not planning on a release 10 this coming year, but we're continuing our very aggressive plan to continue to release quarterly releases with new features and fixes. What I will say is 9.3.8 in particular, which will be our Q2 release, will represent significant, I'll say, infrastructure upgrades. The versions of Java that we support under the covers that you'll need for security compliance, other significant new features beyond what we've been doing, the number of features that we've been doing on a quarterly basis. So stay tuned for that. Again, our release strategy is not to develop a big bang release over a period of multiple years and then introduce major migration processes and cost into our customer base. We're doing this in a way that is sensitive to your budgets, your upgrade budgets, and preserving what you've built already with WebFOCUS and providing that platform for you to take advantage of the new features. Anonymous attendee, maybe I misheard. Did you say 2026 will offer a modernization program? Yes. So we're stay tuned for that. We're going to be launching this in the probably obviously January timeframe, Q1 timeframe, where we are going to be partnering with a couple of our implementation partners to offer to provide a channel for you to contract for migration services and managed services if that's what you need. If you're a gold customer, as I mentioned earlier, coming up for renewal this year, you'll have the option to kind of embed these tech refresh type services into your subscription with a certain number of hours associated with it. So stay tuned for formal announcements on both those initiatives.
Just to update you, Mark, I do understand your question. This is where you've got a map and you've got a report and you want to actually do brush linking and have it broadcast the results of your selection to that other report. And that is not offered today. That functionality is turned off when you enter map mode, but that has been a request that I've passed on to Angie and Ken and Alex Homer and the various people on the designer team that we'll be looking at. Because I like that is a nice piece of functionality to be able to have that brush linking and to be able to do it on a map with Simplify, kind of that experience that you would want.
Okay. Porter, I love this one. Great information, but some of us are still back on App Studio. Where can I find the old user manuals for Focus, WebFOCUS version 8.2? And don't say eBay. Where can they find this information?
I was looking for them when I saw the question come up. It's just been a while since I've accessed them, so they exist.
Yeah.
We will find them and share them.
Yeah. I would just say we have, there's a link on our website to what's called the Enterprise Content Library. And so you can go there to find all the documentation that we have for the legacy Focus and WebFOCUS versions. So that's what I would recommend.
Yep.
It was down for about a week because there was some IT issue in the background, but we fixed that and it's available to you now. Jim asks, are there going to be regional IBI summits? I don't think so. I think we're going to do one for North America next year, but we do have a parallel program that Shay, maybe you can speak to, that's where customers can request more of a kind of a a session for your team members. That could be a combination of kind of a tech day where we would work with you on crafting an agenda, whether that's on site or some combination of virtual or on site. I don't know, Shay, if you want to speak to that.
Yeah, you just kind of hit the high points there, Dan. But yes, if your organization is interested in having or hosting an event where we come on site, or as Dan mentioned, we can also offer a virtual component. The tech days are very much catered to your needs, your releases, the features that you have, and your concerns that your organization is experiencing. So we definitely cater those agendas very much to you guys and what you want to see. So if you are interested or would like more information on how to get a tech day started, please reach out to me. I'm happy to start that discussion with you and your account managers and your SEs. And yeah, we'd love to get some of those set up next year. But as Dan mentioned, Summit is going to be just a one event in North America. And hopefully, not to put any pressure on Dan, we will have an announcement for you guys soon on that location and those dates.
All right. Thank you, Shay. And, honestly, with the Customer Tech Day program last year, we didn't get a ton of traction on it, but we want our customers to know about it, like Shay just said, and we want to make sure that you see that as an option for you. I mean, especially for those of you who have like significant WebFOCUS support and development people, even if they're in, kind of offshore locations like India or Eastern Europe. I mean, we can pull together, like we have presence worldwide, and we can craft an agenda and a experience that would be really valuable for your team. So keep that in mind for this coming year.
And I can just clean up these two questions real
Please
quick.
do.
Rudolph, yes, we have been planning to combine visualization and assemble mode. And yes, to the anonymous attendee, that we are working at integrating and exposing the data intelligence products inside the WebFOCUS Hub.
Okay, and with that, we have no further open questions. Maybe we'll ask the attendees one more time. If there's any other questions, please feel free to type them into the Q&A chat there. If not, I guess we'll turn it back to you, Shay, for any final. Oh, here we go. Anything on the roadmap towards visual look and feel to support scheduling?
You know, we modernized the front end last year, so that was obviously, you know, a good start and a good step and improvement. And it certainly, as of today, you know, meets kind of all of the user interface and user experience standards that we've rolled out across the rest of the product. So, you know, a more visual way for report scheduling, I might think of that as there's been a big push around things like end user self-service scheduling, like a subscription, how easy it is to subscribe to a snow report or something, right? Like just enter your email. How do you want it? So I think we're always looking at what is a more visual and intuitive and, you know, consumable way to do everything in the product. And that extends to Reportcaster as well.
Yeah, it's great update on that, Porter. And you know, I would also say with Caster, you know, following this year's major facelift of a lot of the UI aspects, you know, we're really focusing on some of the back end capabilities, like Porter mentioned, delivery to the modern collaboration tools, but also coming up soon is this concept of like greater visibility into the caster activity, meaning, you know, a facility to help you to track the distribution list that you're building, the number of reports that are going out, where, you know, to have better telemetry for you as a customer to track things, to track jobs that are getting fired off in Caster. So look for more of that. Caster is mission critical to so many of you, still a very active area of the product, even though it's probably historically speaking, one of the initial features and facilities that we had when we first created WebFOCUS. We're committed to continuing to evolve it and you know, make sure that it stays relevant for you, both on the UI side and on the back end. Okay, Porter, any comments on?
Yeah, so Eric, you know, I think I'd just like to I think I know what you mean, but I think I just want to understand that use case a little more. You know, you're looking for additional options like, you know, being able to specify certain line items for scheduling or for export. I think I want to understand that one a little better before I comment. Rudolph, you're correct. There's a couple areas of the product, very few, that still need an update, and the view deferred report status is one of those. Interfaces, I'd have to see if that's on our list to work on in 2026, and I will check on that. Yeah, Shay, do you want to take Eric off of mute and he can just ask it live?
Hello, hello.
Hi.
All right, so
Eric, you have VIP access.
You're a panelist now.
Go ahead.
hey, I appreciate that. I don't know if that was a smart move on your guys' part or just inevitable because of the complexity of what's in my head here. So I'm going to apologize for that already. I'll give you our use case. We come in on a Monday and several things in our reportcaster failed because we had some server issues over the weekend, and let's say some of our tables didn't update like they were supposed to. So jobs failed as a result. So typically what ends up happening is we come in, we go into reportcaster, we basically hit the all button so that we can see everything on the screen, so that we can see everything that has an error component next to it. And then we try to figure out, okay, this one happened at 7 o'clock in the morning, and then these two at 8 o'clock and 8:30 in the morning happen after that one because there's critical components in the 7 o'clock one that impact those other two, so on and so forth. So we have to kind of go in there and just sort things in order on the screen, and then be able to go back and rerun things. And then you've got the clutter of everything else that ran fine because they were designed to run outside the scope of these other ones. So we're looking at something where we can basically, for lack of a better term, take a snapshot of what's on the page, put it in Excel, filter out the stuff we don't need to concentrate on, and just concentrate on the stuff that we do. So that's kind of our use case there.
Sounds totally plausible and something that is worth considering. And I think, what we'll do is this session's been recorded and I've took some notes and we're going to share it with the PM of Reportcaster, which is Sachin. And we can evaluate that and communicate back.
Rock
Our
on. Thank you
thoughts.
so
Yeah,
much. That's
got
all I
it.
can ask.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Jay, back to you. I think we're almost at time here
Yeah.
and nothing open in terms of the question queue.
Perfect. Yeah, no, thank you guys so much for attending today. We really appreciate you. I know at the end of the year, everyone's kind of getting ready to check out mentally and physically from work and enjoy the holidays with their family. So we appreciate you taking the time to join us today. We hope that everything that Ken and Dan and Porter talked about get you excited for next year. We're looking forward to another successful year and glad, like I said at the beginning, that you guys are on this journey with us. As Porter mentioned and I mentioned earlier, this was recorded, so I will send you a copy of the recording and along with any of the presentation content that the guys are able to share, that will be included with that follow-up. And in the meantime, to some of those questions, as Porter mentioned, we'll follow up with you guys, get those answers, especially from the Reportcaster side. And we look forward to seeing everybody in 2026. I hope everyone has a great holiday season and a very happy new year.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you guys.